Hi, this is Frank. I'm doing an autopsy of the Youngster Jets this afternoon, just to show the issues I had, certainly with the two that I bought from Mark. Um, Unfortunately, he didn't want to resolve any of my problems, would not respond to any of my emails, and so I feel like I need to share with anyone else who is thinking about buying these or has already bought them some of the problems I had, so you're aware. And I believe the main problem that I had was that these setups made of plastic or reinforced plastic, whatever they're made of, they just can't hold up to the extra torque when you add a lot more weight. Mark weighs in at about 130 or 140, and with his setup, I believe he said it was 30 pounds or so. He's at about 170. I weigh in at 230, and I was using much bigger batteries than he was, and so my whole setup came with a longboard, an SUP. I was at about 300 pounds, and I think that has played a big part in it. And Mark has never once mentioned weight or limitations, and I think that he's doing a disservice to anyone who's going to spend this kind of money. Anyway, let's start off with these. The bottoms here, obviously, this is the grid from the one I just took it off so I could see inside before I took it apart. So they did have grids on them to protect from debris. I've had 3 impellers with 2 pumps, and all 3 of them have broken. First time I suggested it was possible that it was load related, and Mark said no, it had to have been debris, so I accepted that. But now that the other 2 have broken pretty much simultaneously with these grids on, there's no possible way it could have been debris, particularly when you look at these stators and see that there's no damage to any of the fins. The other issue that's secondary to the breaking impellers is that the thrust washer that's in there gets deformed and starts to wear. You can see the dust from it wearing. Same with this one. They're difficult to see, but they are loose fitting around the shaft now, because when the impeller breaks, which you can see here, these impellers, you can see there's a broken fin on this one right there. Should be a fin right along here, and this is cracked. You can see a big crack in it here, and this one is also broken. It's broken less than the first one, but it started to fail. This blade is busted here, and I'll go around and you can get a better view of what it looks like. That's the one. They're a little difficult to see, the shadows in the black box, but this blade here has broken half off. So that's what I'm dealing with. This, on the other hand, is the MHZ Jet 52. I have a grid. It's less substantial than the ones on Mark's. And this one is all metal construction. And as you can see, it's kind of grimy and grody inside there. But it still works. It's been working for a couple of years now with hundreds of hours on it. It's a single Jet 52, that I use on a stand-up paddleboard. It doesn't go super fast. I can get about 9 miles an hour out of it, which is why I was hoping for the double jet to get some real good speed. But I've never made, the most we ever got was 12.5 miles an hour. And that was with a guy who weighed Mark's weight that I decided to put on it and just not use myself as the guinea pig. These jets, let's see, get this here. These jets are powered by a Leopard motor. So you can see one of them leaked. Obviously water was coming in through the tunnel, and you can see where it's just shooting the grease up that was in the grease trap between the bearings. An interesting thing that I noticed on these was that you can see it on this shot right here, but there's some little pinholes in the plastic on the edge there. This will not focus too well. But there's pinholes in the plastic. Now, on the outside of the housing, that's not a big deal. Mark had put some pads on top of both of these jet drives to, I don't know why, but they were put there on top, so I didn't see those. But after a while, they came off, and I was able to notice that. So I'm wondering if there's some flaws in the manufacture of these impellers that cause them to break like that, because he insists that they shouldn't break regardless of the load. These are Leopard motors I'm using. They're 56 millimeter motors, and the same. They're, I think, the 5692s, and this is a 56104 triple S motor. All, approximately the same. And like I said, this MHC jet is powered a paddleboard with 230 pounds of me on there, and the two jets here are broken with a lighter person on there, on a shorter board. So I'm concerned that with these plastic parts and the fact that there's a thrust washer here and these not a thrust bearing, because you can't, I don't believe you can even change this out. I think the whole unit, because the stator is, everything's molded into the nozzle, so it doesn't look like you can change just the parts. So for this to work for me again at all, I would need to have two new impellers and two new nozzles. And I couldn't even get Mark to respond to my emails to talk about it. So at this point, I have a very expensive setup that is of no value to me. So I would just be careful. Anyone who's thinking about buying these or has bought them already, if you're planning on putting a heavy weight on it, you should think very carefully, because I have 100% failure on 3 impellers and no real response. I did notice that Mark has a video up today on his channel saying new impellers, so he may well be addressing this issue, but for me or anyone else who's bought them already, that's not really helpful, unless he's planning on sending us all new parts, and he didn't get back to me, so I can't say that that's anything I'm expecting. Anyway, as much as I hate to dog on someone else's work, I really don't want to knock anybody, but I can't really recommend these. They're cheaper than MHC pumps. If you're going to buy 2 Jet 52s, it would cost you, in the US anyway, about $700. I believe Mark sells a couple of these for, $450, $500, somewhere in around there. And that's great, but if they don't work, then it's wasted money, and plus all the time. And you can even see here that this there isn't much wear. There's the grease come off here from the one pump, but the rest of the unit is all 5200 holding this in, and it's all really clean, because it's really only had minutes of use. From the very first test run on this package, I did not get but a few seconds and then a couple of minutes, and I ran maybe 5 or 7 minutes with the first jet that broke, first impeller, and then this last time when I put my 140-pound buddy on there, it ran reasonably well, but it wouldn't go past 12.5 miles an hour, which means that possibly one of these impellers was already cracked or broken, and because it was so much of it left, it was still appeared to be working fine. And then I rode it for a few, probably 2 minutes, and couldn't get any faster speed. And then tried it again after I made some mods to the board. I wanted to make sure that my drive was completely down in the water, and that I wasn't sucking air. So I actually it's covered in junk, because I actually expanding foam packed it into the board and actually lowered the unit lower than the board to make sure that there was no question it was not operator error. And I've built, this one is 2 years old. I have several other units, and I've been building these for about 4 years. So I'm no expert for sure, but I'm competent in building these. And if I could make this one last as grody as it is for 2 years, and I have replaced bearings. I've never replaced an impeller or a stator, but I have replaced the front and rear thrust bearings. I have broken couplers. I have replaced odds and bits and pieces, but I've never had the unit actually fail, the MHC jet, and I think that's because they're made out of aircraft aluminum, and the impellers are CNC cut from a block of alloy, and they're just stronger, and they need to be, because there's a huge load put on them. So that's my take. I hope that's useful to everybody. Thanks for watching.